everybody. This is Vaughn here, coming back with another group of properties in Cook County that have been over-assessed. If you haven't followed me, and if you don't know by now, weekly I provide an update on properties that I have determined to be statistical outliers. And these properties have been over-assessed, and these properties have tax bills, quite frankly, that are incorrect. And the inaccuracy of the property tax bill is based on a statistical outlier. Each property that I show every week is again a verified statistical outlier. These are objective assessments that I am doing to objectively identify whether or not a property has been overassessed by Cook County. And again, if you haven't followed me for the past several weeks, I've been identifying properties either with their address number. Sometimes I believe I've been giving a street name. But what I am not going to do is reveal too many details about the property so that someone in the general public would be able to identify the property. It's not my objective to release or reveal anyone's private information, although of course all the information is public knowledge, but I will not reveal anyone's private information. Again, every week I am going to be coming to you with at least 5 properties. Again, properties that have been overassessed. And what's my methodology of determining objectively whether or not a property is overassessed? I use something called a Z-score. In statistics, a Z-score is a measure of how far the subject is away from the statistical average, the mean in a particular population. If you have any information or if you have any questions about getting your property tax bill lowered, if you want me to help you with a certificate of error, or if you want some assistance doing an appeal, because in the southern suburbs, we are up against a triennial reassessment. So the objective for everyone is to make sure not necessarily that the property tax bill is lowered, because of course in Cook County, our property taxes are high. So when we say, or when I use the word low or lower, that's a relative term. But the objective is to ensure that your property is accurately assessed with respect to your statistical comparables based on property characteristics. If you want to reach out to me, my phone number is 888-339-6911. Again, that's 888-339-6911. So with that, let's start off with the first property that I will report for this week. And this week, I am showing properties in Country Club Hills, Illinois. What I'll probably do going forward is focus the 5 properties that I'll present in a particular community. Last week, I believe I did Markham, Illinois. I shouldn't say last week, perhaps 2 weeks ago, because last week we had severe storms in the Chicago suburbs, the southwestern suburbs, southwest suburbs, and I had internet problems, so I did not report anything last week. But this week, once again, it's Country Club Hills. The first property, I'm not going to give the full address, but the first property is 18640. Again, I'm not going to give the actual street name, but this week I will be giving the street number for the property that's been overassessed. Country Club Hills, first property, 18640. The Z-score for this property is lower. It's 1.78. The property tax bill paid in 2025 was $15,355.90. This property is a statistical outlier, and the property has been overassessed. The second property for this week, again in Country Club Hills, 18701. The Z-score, 2.49. The property tax bill paid in 2025 was $10,631. Now, on this particular property, what I want to state, I did not share it on the first property, but this second property, the first installment tax bill paid in 2026 was $4,776.96. Now, real quick, I didn't share the first installment property tax bill in 2026, that is, for the first property, because that first property has several exemptions that make the first installment very low. So in theory, even though that first property had a very high property tax bill, again, high being a relative term, that first installment property tax bill was low because several exemptions had been added to that property. So again, the first property, to recap, 18640, the full 2025 property tax bill was $15,355.90. The second property, 1870 in Country Club Hills, the Z-score was 2.49, and that full property tax bill in 2025 was $10,631. And the first installment of the 2025 property tax bill payable in 2026 was $4,776.96. The third property for this week, again, Country Club Hills, the address number 18815. The Z-score here, 2.53. The 2025 property tax bill paid in the 2024 property tax bill paid in 2025 was $13,584.12. The first installment property tax bill for 2025 that was paid in 2026 was $6,401.12. The fourth property for this week, again out of Country Club Hills, the address number 19030. The full 2024 property tax bill paid in 2025 was $12,445.75. And the first installment of the 2025 property tax bill paid in 2026 was $6,845.15. And the last property that I will report out on for this week out of Country Club Hills that has a statistically verified overassessment from the Cook County assessor. The property address number is 18920. The Z-score for this property, again, a lower one of 1.65. Now, let me pause here for a second before I give some more details about this last property. And of course, I'm pausing here intentionally. Now, the Z-score for this property is lower. Typically, I like to look at Z-scores that are above 1.50. Again, the Z-score is a measure of the standard deviation. It identifies how widely the subject property is with respect to its characteristically similar comparables. The higher the Z-score, the wider the property is, or the farther the property is away from its statistical mean, the statistical average. In this case, however, I want to say something very important. The reason why using statistics is not very cut and dry, and the reason why the Cook County assessments and the property tax bills are not as simple as people think, is because oftentimes you do have to do some type of deep dive work to validate or justify the Z-score and or the standard deviation. So when I am running statistics on properties, even though the Z-score may be low, I want to find out how high the property tax bill is with respect to what the tax bill should be. So how much value, how much of a difference is that property taxpayer paying above what they should be paying, what he or she should be paying? So for this last property, again, I'm only doing this for one property this week. And I'm doing this only because this property has a lower Z-score. Again, Cook County property, the property address number is 18920. The Z-score for this property is 1.65. The 2024 property tax bill paid in 2025 was $11,221.70. The first installment 2025 property tax bill paid in 2026 was $5,101.82. Now here's what's interesting. Even with only a 1.65 Z-score, the tax bill, the property tax bill, should have been unadjusted without exemptions applied. It should have been $8,005.88 based on the accurate square footage of this property. This property is being assessed at approximately $15 per square foot, but its statistical comparables are being assessed at approximately $10 per square foot. This property taxpayer is paying approximately $3,000 more per year than what they should be paying, even though the Z-score is low. So again, this person paid more than $11,000 in property taxes on this property in 2025. This property is 1,037 square feet. They are overpaying more than $3,000 per year. What's my goal? My goal is not necessarily to lower the tax bill, because if you live in Cook County and or you have lived in Cook County long enough, you know, once again, that when we use the word low, low is a relative term. Cook County property taxes are inherently high because the data shows that we operate within an inefficient government system. The levy is high. The levy is a group of all of the taxing bodies. They levy a certain amount to Cook County. They say, Cook County assessor, Cook County treasurer, we need X amount of dollars to operate. When you look at your property tax bill, there are several taxing bodies. The amount that you see on your full year property tax bill for each one of those taxing bodies is the amount levied against the value of your property. So those individual amounts for all of those taxing bodies represent the amount that you are required to pay based on the assessed value of your home. And that's why it is so critically important to ensure that you are being assessed accurately, because even with the dynamic of high property taxes in Cook County, the objective is to ensure that you are paying the accurate or correct amount based on the value or the assessed value of your home. So once again, that last property, 18920 in Country Club Hills, their 2025 property tax bill, first installment was $5,101.82. The full 2024 property tax bill payable or paid in 2025 was $11,221.70 based on the statistically verified assessed value that they should have been paid on was $8,005.88. They are overpaying more than $3,000 per year based on the incorrect assessment. That's it for this week. If anyone has questions or needs assistance with a certificate of error to get a refund from an overpaid property tax bill, or if you need some assistance with doing an appeal, contact me, Vaughn Harrison. My phone number, 888-339-6911. Once again, it's 888-339-6911. I will help you appeal your property tax bill and or complete a certificate of error using objective statistical models that I have created. My models are proprietary. If you want assistance, Vaughn Harrison, 888-339-6911. Until next week, please like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel. Keep in contact with me because I will be reporting overassessed properties probably for the next year, at least every week. Thank you very much for your time today. Have a great day.